Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your mostly unknown podcast, Flying Otters. With me today, standing at 5'6" and only 4.5 months pregnant, Kiersten Pacelli. And of course, I am James Ray Watson McCartney IV, with James Ray Watson McCartney V coming in hot December 18th. We just figured that out.
Okay, can we get you off megaphone now?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this much, folks. I don't think I've had a lot of fun doing these episodes with my lady, Kiersten. I don't think I've ever had as much fun as that 20 seconds right there doing that intro. That was so awesome.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, dude. I want to do that every single time.
It took a lot to figure out, though.
It was worth it.
Yeah, it was.
If anything, dude, it may be too much, but I would be totally happy doing our entire podcast speaking like that, try to get the crowd hyped up. I had a fantastic time. And on that note, this is why when I intro her, I don't just say Kiersten Pacelli, photographer and videographer. I also say the tech person behind the Flying Otters podcast, because she was the one who fiddled around with our soundboard and figured out how to do that. And that's going to come in hot, ladies and gentlemen, when I think I say something funny. She has now figured out sound effects. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, episode 7 of the Flying Otters podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and being a part of our world here in our studio in Tampa Bay, Florida. Wherever you may be, we hope that good things come your way. And like we said, we were coming back with another episode sooner than our ridiculously long gap we had when we were traveling from Florida to Alaska and everywhere in between. Kiersten.
Surprise!
We're here.
We're back.
What would you like to tell our 100 subscribers and hopefully future?
As of today, we're at 104.
Hey.
Plus, I think 3 from the last time we checked, like 2 weeks ago. So we're doing good.
We are moving in the right direction.
Yep.
We are growing, folks. Exponential growth. So if you would like to invest in the Flying Otters podcast, we have nothing but growth over the
Show that shirt. I don't know if we ever showed it.
We have merch. And here's the thing, folks. You guys may have seen in our little intro that we have, in our outro that we have stick figures that represent us, which we've never even really explained. And we have merch shirts, folks, with our logo.
And it glows in the dark.
Our logo on the back. And these stick figures that represent Jimmy and Kiersten, those glow in the dark. This is not just merch for the sake of merch. This is a badass shirt. If you would like to purchase one of these and support us, that would be fantastic. And we already may or may not have been able to figure out a market cap for where we're at because we have 104 subscribers, but that doesn't change the fact that if you would like to buy one, you can. These guys
also, we don't have a
dark.
link set up or any way to actually buy it yet, so if you want to buy it, leave a comment and let us know, and we will figure it out if enough people actually want them.
And
but I'm also sweatshopping them.
That's right, ladies and
On
gentlemen.
the regular, so.
Yeah. And by enough people want them, we mean literally one. If one person would like to purchase one of these shirts, that would be fantastic. And they are not just shirts for the sake of shirts. These are actually really cool. These guys glow in the dark, and we have the self-created logo on the back of this shirt. So they are available for purchase. If you would like one, that would mean the world. And Kiersten Pacelli makes them, ladies and gentlemen. She bought a printing press for t-shirts, and she makes them right here in our condo in Tampa Bay, Florida, shipped conveniently to your door if you would like to purchase one.
Unless you live in Florida and we know you, then we can just give it to you.
Or you
bring it to you.
Yeah, you're one of the people that we do know, and we can do that as well.
Yep.
But those shirts are readily available. And I feel like maybe this wasn't even on our list, but maybe we should explain what those symbols are. Not like the whole detailed story, but like why we use them, and we've never even explained it.
Do we have a good explanation? Or should we just keep it low-key?
Your choice. I will let you create your own adventure.
Reminder, I know we've talked about them on an episode before, but there are our tattoos, our wedding band tattoos.
What we literally have embedded in our skin for the rest of our lives is the same symbol that you can get with this shirt that glows in the dark right here. with the symbols for Jimmy and Kiersten that you see in our intro and outro video. So that was our pitch, which we, honest to God, you see a lot of podcasts where they sell shit. We didn't plan on doing that. Oh, great. Good thing our dog Mac decided to participate and be a part of the festivities. I hope that didn't ruin it, but yeah, we did not plan on pitching our merch, but there it is. So with that being said, Kiersten, would you like to say a message to our followers and viewers? Mac, lay down. Lay down. Lay down.
Please buy our merch.
You heard it here first, folks. Please buy our merch. We would like to be able to continue doing this show and staying in this studio because we very much enjoy it here.
Because Vita Coco has not yet sponsored us. So
They have not.
once they do, we'll be sitting pretty.
Yes, ma'am.
Until then, we have a couple more followers to get. So
Yep. So with that being said, first thing on the docket.
we do not have any updates today because we just made an episode recently. So
Yeah.
nothing too exciting has happened in our life since then.
Nope. But we are about to, when this episode airs, we are going to be embarking on a journey throughout New York State, from Long Island up to the Adirondacks near the border of Canada and all the way over to Syracuse. We are going to be on the run. And then immediately after that, I'm going to be flying to Texas. I'm going to try to get on Kill Tony in Austin. And then that very night, I'm going to drive to Dallas to do Normal World with the Blaze as soon as I get back, and then fly back home. It's going to be a wild ride. We're back right in it. It never stops, does it?
Nope.
Always packing and on the go. Holy shit. All right, with that being said, the first thing we are going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is Alligator Alcatraz. For those of you who don't know, Florida has constructed a detention facility for illegal immigrants who have been captured by ICE and to remain detained. And the reason it got so much attention was the idea that if detainees did escape, they'd be surrounded in the swamp by alligators, snakes, mosquitoes, all kinds of shit. So it got a lot of attention in the national news, and Kiersten wanted us to be talking about it today because a federal judge wanted to shut it down, and there is an update on this. This is from NBC News. Judge rules Alligator Alcatraz can stay open for now, but no further detainees or construction are allowed. Within 60 days, the facility must also remove all generators, gas, sewage, and other waste receptacles, which calls into question how could it operate. The federal judge in Miami contested that the migrant detention facility in the Florida Everglades can remain operational, but it cannot expand and no additional detainees can be brought in. U.S. District Judge Kathleen M. Williams entered a preliminary injunction to prevent the installation of any additional industrial-style lighting or any site expansion. Her ruling further prevents bringing additional persons who may not already be being detained there at the time of this order. So basically, things are on pause, but it is not shut down yet. And it goes on from there.
So they're basically going to make it even more hell for the people who are already there.
Which is a weird irony because a lot of the people who were opposing this place thought that the facilities were not adequate for the people who are detained.
Right.
So
take away the very minimal facilities that they have and make it worse for them.
I think...
Because that's helpful.
Right. That makes sense. My opinion on this, when I was, and this wasn't even planned, I just thought about this as I was reading it. People on both sides of the aisle, I understand the idea of checks and balances, right? So, like, our government is special and, in my opinion, very good because the branches of the government separate their powers. So, like, one person can't have too much control, everybody. So, like, all the branches can check each other to keep each other in line. So it is very vital that the judiciary can provide a counterbalance to the legislative and the executive. I think that's great. However, I do find it really strange that one judge is capable of just filing an injunction that can stop legislation or an executive order that affects the entire country. And then, you know, by extension, the rest of the world.
How many judges are there?
Hundreds. I don't know the exact number, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I know it's in the hundreds. There's like hundreds of judges at the federal level that have the ability to do this. And if one of them files certain injunctions, and I think it's only in certain realms, I don't know exactly how it works, it can completely pause executive action. And it's just like a weird thing to me. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I think it affects both ways. That one judge can affect something that, like, for example, the president ordered, and the president was elected by millions of people. I do believe in checks and balances, but it is a weird thing that one regional judge can affect a federal policy instead of like that one region. What are your thoughts on it? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's basically a jail for people who are doing illegal things, aka being here illegally. So it may sound inhumane of me, but I guess I don't particularly care about the conditions of the jail that they're in, whether it's Alligator Alcatraz or another jail. I mean, they shouldn't be just running around free if they're doing illegal things.
Well, of course not.
You mean, what do I think about the judge thing?
That's
One judge
like the
being
second
able
point.
to.
How do you feel about the idea that one federal judge has the ability to affect federal law or like the way the federal government is operating and shut down legislation and executive orders? How do you feel about that?
I mean, that one judge clearly can't shut it down because it's still going.
That does happen though. Frequently, like if, and it happened under Biden, it can happen under Trump. Certain, I don't know, and I'm honestly not an expert in this, but certain judges have the ability, and it's not just like even with Supreme Court cases, right? When they rule on things, there's a majority, right? So it's 5-4, 6-3, whatever. But like in certain cases, judges have the ability to just completely block for months. So like the president could file an executive order, and one judge can like file something that pauses it and prevents it from being enacted for months while they go through a process. It's just like a really weird thing that they have that much authority and they're not even on the Supreme Court. So these guys are beneath the Supreme Court, which is what I think is the
Isn't the Supreme Court effectively just judges?
Yeah, the Supreme Court is 9 judges, and basically when court cases go all the way up the ladder, right? So like if people appeal up the different rungs of the federal court system, and it gets to the Supreme Court can rule on things, and when they hammer in their votes on that case, it then becomes federal law across the whole country because they are the highest court. So that's how things like, you've heard about Roe versus Wade, gay marriage, things like that. When they get to the Supreme Court, effectively it changes the way that the law operates for everyone. But what I'm saying is these judges that shut down Alligator Alcatraz are beneath the Supreme Court. They're not even Supreme Court justices.
What kind of qualifications do they need to have to be a federal judge like that?
Obviously, like law degrees, like years of experience working, in the court system. Like they're usually, so it's called the Circuit of Appeals, I think is what it is. But it's like,
are they government employees?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you work your way up. So you go down. You start in like a lower circuit within the federal.
I wish Mac did not have that A.
I honestly cannot explain in words how much I hate this thing, and I think I've got about 30 more squeaks before I throw it over that balcony into the goddamn bay.
No.
Give
him the orange thing.
All right. No. Lay down. Mac, lay down. Good boy. That was really good. So anyway, basically, judges that work at the federal level, right? It's just like climbing the ladder of corporate. Like you don't start as the CEO. That'd be the equivalency of being in like the Supreme Court. So you start out in like, you become like a sales rep, and then you're a regional manager, and then you're like,
So there are all these little tiny judge things that you can do to work your way up to being a federal judge and then the Supreme Court.
Yes.
If you get there.
Yes. And that's why usually Supreme Court justices are pretty old, because they've been working up the different circuits within the federal system. So anyway, the reason it's just
How
interesting.
political was it?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think there are checks and balances to that too, but like they get appointed and then they have to keep going up. And with the Supreme Court,
Like, are they allowed to hold like strong political left or right views by being an unbiased judge?
they're not supposed to talk about I believe they're not supposed to talk about their personal political ideologies, but it's very apparent, like it's known these are conservative judges versus, more liberal judges. So that is a thing, but you're not supposed to be like you're never supposed to see the Supreme Court like campaigning for Trump or campaigning for Biden. They're not supposed to do that at all.
But when they rule cases, I mean, and when they rule certain things like that, aren't they putting their political ideology into it?
Their job as Supreme Court, as federal judges, is to not use their personal feelings on how they feel. Mac, you seriously, bro? Ladies and gentlemen, this dog gets taken to do unbelievable adventures. He gets fed way more than he should, both human and dog alike, treats, and he's with us all day, every day. Nope, lay down. Nope, lay down. And when he doesn't get exactly what he... Lay down, Mac. When he doesn't get exactly what he wants at any given millisecond, he whines as if he's being tortured. It is an unbelievably obnoxious thing that he does. Seconded only to the egg that he loves to squeak. And when those two things are combined for added effect, it happens during our podcast, while we're trying to remain calm and focused on something very important and not draw blanks.
Trying to have an actual conversation, and then we keep getting interrupted, and then it's like, well, where were we?
Yeah.
So sorry.
Jesus, on that note, we were talking about their biases.
Them not being allowed to be political.
So they're not allowed to be openly political, but it's very obvious. Oh, you were asking about how they rule on cases. So what they're supposed to do in theory is they're not supposed to be ruling on court cases based on their personal opinions on things. They are supposed to be ruling based on their interpretation of the Constitution and the law. So ideally, what a judge does is they separate their personal feelings on an issue from how they read the laws written in the Lay down,
No.
Mac. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Mac.
Look at how close he is to the camera.
Lay down. No. Lay down. Lay down. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mac in his prime, being particularly annoying at a very important moment. So yeah, I mean, I think they have... Was I trying to be funny? Shit. He's completely derailed this whole thing. This goddamn train wreck that is Mac. And we went over to your dad's the other day and we were driving in the car and I literally said, I really hope Mac is not a douchebag. And why don't you tell the audience what Mac managed to do within the first 5 minutes of being there?
All right, we'll shoot him back and forth.
Okay,
So-
we'll name them rapid fire. So, first time of Mac being at her dad's house, ladies and gentlemen, and we said, we hope Mac is not a douchebag. Here we go, starting with number 1.
First thing he did was run in and eat my dad's 2 dogs' food. Both of their bowls full, which was 3 days worth of food for some reason.
For each of them.
They each had 3 days worth of food in their bowls, and Mac ate it in less than 30 seconds.
Mac
all of
ate
it.
6 days worth of their food instantly. Second thing he did, which was simultaneous to first thing he did, was scare the shit out of those 2 dogs that live there. So scared the shit out of those 2 dogs that are residents of that house. Next thing.
Third thing he did was drink all their water and make a huge mess all over the floor.
He drooled it all over the floor everywhere that I picked up, 3 times, maybe 4 different times, and then he went back and got more and then drooled it all out of his mouth. Fourth thing he did, Shar, her father's wife, Kiersten's stepdad, came out of the bedroom
My
wearing...
stepdad.
Stepmom. Jeez, I'm crow. Came out of the bedroom wearing... First impression, she had never seen Mac wearing these white shorts that she had apparently been waiting months to wear and walked outside after just putting them on. And Mac immediately jumped up at her and put his wet paw prints right on her shorts. And she immediately had to turn around, go back in, and change. Number 5.
Number 5, after that ordeal, he got kicked out to the patio.
Oh, before that, why was he kicked out? What was the final straw that got him kicked out?
He tried to play with the little dogs, who were each less than 10 pounds, and
Scared the shit out of him.
again scared the shit out of him, and got kicked out to the patio.
Where, number 6, ladies and gentlemen, he immediately took a massive shit on the patio. So within 5 minutes, this gentleman did pretty much every single thing he possibly conceivably could have done to, in fact, be a douchebag.
That's our guy.
That's our guy. That is our guy. Oh, also, one little stipulation about number 6 when he took the shit. He was playing in the front yard for about 10 or 15 minutes on grass and didn't shit at all. And then went out to the back patio in cement, like inside the patio, and took a massive mega shit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Mac.
It's so fun having him. He really adds to the team.
Yep. And he definitely makes filming these episodes so much easier. All right. So with that being said, the alien probe. Natural segue. By the way, Kiersten said before this episode, I think you should announce the next topics because I think you're very good at segues. And we went directly from Mac being a douchebag to the alien probe. There was a natural segue there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
I'm almost as good as Red Band.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have as many options, but...
You're still probably doing better than what Tony thinks he does, so it's fine. All right, so for those of you who don't know, there is a object coming through space towards our solar system at a very accelerated rate. Most astronomers believe that this is just a space object. It's got some anomalies, but whatever. But one very, very established Harvard physicist genuinely believes that he thinks it is extremely likely that this is not just some random object floating through space, that it is in fact an alien probe. And there is a lot of interesting things about this, if you haven't heard about it. But basically, this object is the size of Manhattan, so the island of Manhattan. It's massive. One of the things that causes this physicist to believe that it is not just some random object floating through space is that it apparently is traveling at a rate faster than what a natural object would. So it has a certain light coming from it, an ominous glow. NASA images showed a glow on the object's front rather than the trailing glow typically seen on comets, which is the ice debris behind it. So there's a light being emitted from the front of this, which is very interesting and noteworthy. So he believes that it's from a nuclear-powered system, which obviously that doesn't happen naturally. It's something from aliens. So there is certain things that are interesting about this. It is not passing directly in front of Earth. I believe it's going to be passing between Jupiter and Mars.
Mars and Jupiter, yeah.
Yeah. But there are some certain things. It's moving faster than a natural object. There's a light coming from it. It's the size of Manhattan. There's a lot of things that are really strange about it. And one of the people who is saying that this is most likely an alien object is not Joe Blow from his mom's basement. It's a Harvard physicist. So this isn't some random guy who just wants to get attention or is just like making a claim without any foundation.
How does he know that it's going to be passing through Mars and Jupiter and not by Earth?
I have no idea how they do it, but astronomers are really good at tracking that. Like they're really good
Yeah,
at
but if it's like not just a regular comet or something going through space at a normal way,
How do
can
they know?
say? Yeah.
I would infer that they've tracked so many comets and asteroids.
But
that
they said it's already not moving like a comet, so...
Right, that's what I'm saying, is like they probably track so many of them that they've seen the patterns of what they typically do, and this one is moving at a faster rate. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they take the data of years and years and years of tracking them. So they probably just like are like, oh shit, this thing's moving faster than a normal comet. I wonder why. What's he doing?
Looking for something good?
So here's where I think it matters. If this is an alien probe, right? And we have, obviously, when it gets close to us, we'll know. Like, we can see it. How do you feel about humanity discovering that A, alien life exists, and B, it's knocking at our doorstep?
Well, didn't they already come out with that information?
So technically, no. The federal government admitted that there is technology that they have captured on film that they know is not U.S. developed technology. So they didn't straight up say this is alien tech, but they said this isn't ours and it's real. Like this isn't fake. So they pretty much admitted that they're aliens, but they didn't directly say it. And this happened as all this shit was going on with COVID. with a whole bunch of other stories happening in the world, and like a lot of people just kind of brushed it aside, like, oh, another crazy thing. And then,
What if it's something to do with all those drones that were happening a while ago?
who knows? That's another one that kind of got swept under the rug, and
Or the pyramids?
there's many things that don't add up, obviously. So it's basically the idea of if aliens are real, okay, and they're coming to Earth, what do you think the implications would be? That's what I'm getting at. You personally. Do you think
They're going to see what we're doing here and be like, fuck that.
Or hell yeah.
They're going to be
That
like,
place
wow,
is-
they've evolved a bunch, but this is what they've evolved into.
Lay down. Lay down. I feel lay down.
What did he get?
I don't know. Lay down.
Half of the tennis ball.
Mac, lay down. For the 8th time, lay down. That typically does not mean lay down. Thank you. There we go. I think, if anything, Earth is probably like the dysfunctional trailer park family. You're telling me right now that an alien civilization that has mastered space travel, so obviously has like unbelievably advanced technology, wouldn't find Earth fascinating?
Well, they probably already know we're here.
Not just
They're
know
just
we're here.
they're just swinging by to see what's going on lately.
Look at us, dude.
And maybe that's why they're not flying by Earth or whatever, because they don't want us to catch them, or they just want to swoop by first to see.
Think about the fact that we have nuclear weapons and we do music festivals. Humans spend our thought energy developing weapons specifically to kill our own kind, at the same time that we spend thought energy, time, money, and effort to create
Rainbow-colored crosswalks.
well, that, and also, massive music festivals where 40,000 people can get together peacefully without a single punch thrown. It's just like humans are not, dude, I don't know anything about aliens, but I do know, like, objectively, we are not a normal species. We're really weird.
But what if the aliens that are coming are humans?
Well, that's another thing. Me and you talked about this off air. I often think about the idea. So humans, and I, I'm not an expert in anything, but, humans are, I think it's between 100 and 200,000 years old. Let's just play it safe and say modern humans are only 80,000 years old, right? From the time of like the first belief of when agriculture started. So like civilization starting to inch forward, right? So agriculture, writing, blah, blah, blah. 10,000 years, maybe. So that's 90,000 years, or let's just play it unbelievably conservative and say 80,000 years of modern humans, but I know it's more than that. It's like 100 to 200. 70,000 years of modern human development that we don't know anything about. What is to say that there wasn't an ancient society that a lot of people call Atlantis, but I'm not saying it's Atlantis, but just the idea of
Antarctica.
An ancient civilization that formed that was unbelievably advanced, and they decided, because they viewed the rest of the world as being primitive, in the same way that we let Stone Age tribes exist and we don't contact them because we respect them existing and we just leave them alone because they couldn't handle the technology we have anyway. So we go out of our way to protect them and not interact with them. Maybe 55,000 years ago, an ancient human civilization developed, got to where we are today and went beyond it, developed unbelievable technology, and had the ability to either traverse space, traverse time, traverse dimensions, and what we believe to be our aliens are actually, in fact, humans that either evolved to look differently due to different traits and norms over thousands of years, or maybe the things that we think are visiting us are just humans that are from an ancient civilization that developed advanced technology. I don't know.
Have you heard of the lizard people?
That's the belief that like some lizard type alien species infiltrated humankind and is like influencing us to do bad shit.
Aren't those like the
Right.
12-foot tall kind of reptilian looking creatures?
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard like conspiracy theorists talk about it and stuff, and like those lizard people are apparently like bad and they like infiltrate like politics and stuff. And
They're
they try
underneath the Denver airport.
They are? That's the belief.
That's the theory, yeah.
I don't know.
There's some weird shit going on at the Denver airport, but
Also, the Denver airport doesn't make any sense. When we flew from Alaska to Denver, I don't think I've ever walked, and I've been through a million airports. I don't think I've ever walked through an airport that massive, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense how big that fucking airport is. So if you wanted to hide, and we talked about this when we were there, like if you want to hide a government project, you do it in plain sight by doing another massive project that everyone is looking at, so they don't think about it.
Or somewhere where there's so many people in and out every day.
You could funnel anybody in and out of there and no one would ever know.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people there, and it's so big. But, I don't know, the idea of could the aliens that are visiting us actually just be humans is a really interesting one, and I think that gets missed a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not saying it is, but it's something that people should think about. But what I think is more important is the idea of, if, let's just say straight up, it's not some interdimensional being, it's not ancient humans. Let's just say it's straight up another alien race that heard our radio signals and they sent out a probe. Can human society handle the knowledge of knowing there are aliens, definitively fact, and they are here? Can humans handle that and not fucking go psycho and collapse our economy and fucking hoard shit and go fucking crazy?
I mean, really, what would people do? You see how people react when a hurricane is coming, or the idea of COVID. People go crazy.
Yeah.
So what really would people do, you know, with information that they've never had before, which are all just conspiracy until something's proven? Because I feel like even today there's so much things going on with AI, and you can pretty much fake anything. That how would you even get the people to believe things are actually happening, besides it just blowing up on social media because regular Joe Blow people are just recording it on their phones?
Let's just say they knew. Let's just say for whatever reason, like, let's just say the aliens like fucking landed in downtown Manhattan and they started talking to us. So we know definitively this isn't AI, this isn't a fake. Aliens are here and they're real.
I guess it would depend on what they're doing.
Let's just say they're not even threatening us. They're just and they're not even stating their intentions necessarily. They're just putting feelers out there and communicating.
And they speak English.
Yeah.
They speak whatever language they want you to speak.
Let's just say, what I'm saying is, do you think that that human society can handle that knowledge and not go insane? The reason I ask that, my opinion, is absolutely not. Because you saw what happened during COVID, which was basically like an outbreak of the flu. People did die and we didn't know what was going on, but when people did know what was going on, they were still hoarding toilet paper. I have zero faith.
They're not even releasing those Jeffrey Epstein files, probably because people can't handle what's really in there.
I have zero faith in humans as a society when it comes to any sort of major change. I understand why governments would keep it a fucking secret. I do. Because when COVID happened, right, and people thought, okay, this is wild, there's going to be shortages, they walked right past water and peanut butter and rice to go get ass paper. That is what they did. They said, all right, Charlize, I'm going to the store. Sure, we don't have any food, we don't have any water, but we are going to make sure that we have 6 months worth of ass paper so we can have violent diarrhea in peace. Because that's the one thing that I can't go without. Sure, I can handle not having water, I can handle not having food, I cannot handle a dry butt from pooping. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you don't have food, you don't really poop. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a survival expert. I am not. But one thing I do know, on a hierarchy of importance, food and water supersede ass paper. You are all so stupid. What is wrong with you? If you really think society is collapsing, which I understand, because when that all started happening, it was pretty wild. But you can't tell me right now that your priority should be toilet paper. When that happened, you know what I did, Kiersten? I walked in and I got a bunch of like the mega jugs of peanut butter, rice, and water, because I said, if things are going to shut down and everyone's going to go apeshit, I want to eat more than I want to wipe my butt.
So that's what's in your bug out bag?
Peanut butter?
Peanut butter and water.
Yeah. That's infinitely more important than 5 rolls of Charmin Ultra Mega.
I could see you packing things like Optimus Prime in your bug out bag.
Well, I gotta have some kind of toy.
Something's gotta entertain you, right? What if all the aliens came down and visited us and they were looking like Optimus Prime?
They were Transformers?
That would be badass.
I mean, they could look like anything, and I honestly think the biggest thing that would happen is people would just go nuts. I think what would happen, it would be like COVID on steroids. Everyone would sprint into the grocery stores. They would raid toilet paper first.
They'd have some crazy guns probably to protect themselves from the humans. I mean, they'd have to. If their whole ship is only the size of Manhattan versus the whole world and nukes, either they've got to be immune to something or they've got to be Mac.
Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. There we go. It only takes 5 times. I mean, my opinion is if you can traverse the galaxy, they could conquer us with one ship the size of Manhattan easy. I don't think that would be their concern. I think the concern is our end. People would panic and go nuts. The economy would collapse. Everyone would hoard food. The electrical system would probably go down. I think it would be really bad. I don't think people can handle it.
People wouldn't be able to live without the electrical system. That'd be the biggest thing.
Everything
how am I
going
to charge my phone?
Everything, dude. I really think.
And then how would people spread news? How would people know anything that's going on, you know? That'd be the scariest part.
I think that everything would shut down for a very long time. I think it would be very difficult. How do you think about it like this. How do you convince Chelsea to go back into Goss Dodge Jeep to be their front desk attendant, knowing that aliens just made contact and all of the shelves at Publix are bare? How do you convince her to go sit at that desk? You can't. So the problem...
Well, she's not going to be able to do her job without technology anyway.
Right, but my point is, if that happens and people are
Businesses
raiding...
will not be operating.
And then what? When the economy collapses, then the food chain goes down and like everything. So I'm not...
And it's just dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah. I'm not
Survival
saying...
of the fittest. Who's ever got the most toilet paper wins.
Yeah. Barter system of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying it is like a doomsdayist, like that is what would happen, but to me, that seems the most likely. I can't really, okay, here's a better question. Do you honestly think that if aliens made first contact, that people would just be like, oh, okay, and Chelsea would go back to work at Goss Dodge Jeep as the front desk attendant, and Steve would go back to being a sales rep at Tons of Tile?
I feel like a lot of people just went right back into their regular jobs after COVID.
Yeah, but the discovery
They
of
were like, we
alien
don't want to
life-
go back. We want to work remote. And then they said no. And then they're like, okay, well, we still need a job, so.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. So I'm asking you, what do you think? Do you think that if aliens made contact and they weren't inherently violent immediately, they just fucking walked out of their little ship, said, hey guys, do you think society would be able to continue to function, or would it be chaos and mayhem?
Oh, it would be
And hoarding.
complete chaos. But it's like, where would they land, you know?
I actually thought about the idea of like, they always said Jesus is going to make a return, but they never said how and why. I used to do this as a stand-up bit when I was bad, but it is a kind of funny concept. Like, is Jesus going to come back and like do a worldwide, sellout tour of Madison Square Garden and the Rose Bowl, and like go to a Dallas Cowboys game for like the halftime show and like sell out shows like for tickets and get like a campaign manager? Or is he just... Or alternatively, did you know that's the sound it was going to make? Do you think Jesus will just like awkwardly appear and like have stage fright and like be a bad public speaker? How's Jesus going to return? So it's the same idea with aliens, and I really don't think that humans could handle it, which is why, in my opinion, governments...
Do you think he would
have
look
been
anything
hiding
like what we think he looks like?
Jesus or aliens?
Jesus. You think Jesus is an alien?
No, that's not what I said at all. Not one bit, no. What do I think he would look like? I don't know. Whatever people in that time looked like. He probably just, I don't know, like a guy.
Like you with a beard?
Maybe. I don't know, probably tanner than me. Hopefully more muscular. I would hope that the Son of God is pretty jacked, naturally. Otherwise,
But I mean, we even said that aliens won't need to be jacked.
Right.
Because they've evolved to be able to live without having to do physical, hard labor like cavemen.
Right. Right, which is why, and that goes back to what we were saying about the possibility of could aliens, like what we've seen with the quote unquote the Greys, right? The tiny, skinny guys with very few features and a giant head. It's not unfeasible to think it's possible that humans could evolve to look like that.
With the big eyes that
100,000
don't look anything
years.
like ours.
Think about the difference between what wolves were, right, when we started interacting with them 10,000 years ago, okay? What wolves are now versus Chihuahuas, Great Danes, those are all the same species that evolved because of selective breeding, right? So it's like, it's not a weird thing to think that with 100,000 years of selection, humans could go from looking like this to looking like the stereotypical Greys.
Well, looking
You know.
like all sorts of different things, you know?
Yeah,
Because the amount of different dogs that there are now versus just wolves.
yeah, yeah. And that's just like, I don't know, there's a lot of things to think about. I honestly think that the repercussions and the fallout of making first contact would probably be, unless it was done in a very, very easy way. Like, I just saw the movie Contact. Remember when I told you randomly I felt an urge to watch that movie? It's like a movie from the 90s, and basically this one chick is hyper obsessed with, like, using, trying to get radio signals and, like, hear sound frequencies that are coming from other star systems to be able to pick up alien life. She actually finds it, and then they send a message back to build this machine. And the machine has one person go in this capsule, and they use some sort of teleportation system to like bring her to like talk with these aliens that disguise themselves as her father, so it'd be easier for her to comprehend and not be freaked out. And then she goes back. And when she goes back, she finds out that in this machine that they built, all the capsule did was fall. It didn't transport anywhere. So it literally looked like it just fell down and she didn't go anywhere. So humans were very skeptical. The reason I say that is, it's pretty, I mean, the movie's really good, but it's also a really interesting way of like easing into the idea of aliens being real. I think that's the only hope. If we just had a blunt thing of like, oh shit, aliens are real, I think society collapses. So I think it makes sense why
Because we wouldn't know what to do with the information. We wouldn't know how to react, and people would just be scared.
people would panic and they'd hoard food, they'd stock up on their guns, they'd lock themselves in their room, and they wouldn't go to work at tons of tile. And if no one's going to work at tons of tile, the economy collapses and then everybody's fucked.
Back to the old tons of tile.
Yep, shout out tons
Throwback
of
to
tile.
like episode 1.
Yep, shout out to tons of tile. So I think it makes sense. It's just like it's in my opinion, the discovery of alien life, which I think would be unbelievably cool, I also think could be something that collapses society. So it's just, kind of makes sense why governments have been hiding that from people.
Fair enough.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our next topic.
Our next segue.
Our next segue is a really, really good one because it's something that everyone can agree on. That's right, we're talking about abortion! Abortion!
Wait.
Listen, I've had enough and you.
That was fun.
And another thing, I've had enough of this. Screw.
Nice.
We tried really hard on that one. Bringing us to something that we can all agree on and nobody has varying views or...
Definitely non-controversial topic.
Abortion, something we can all agree on and bring us all together.
A nice way to lighten the mood before we end the episode.
Yep. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, this is a pretty wild statistic. However you feel about abortion, this is just a statistic. Almost a third of Generation Z does not exist due to abortion. 1/3 of the entire generation is missing from the country's demographic. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Here we go. New figures circulating this week have reignited one of America's most polarizing debates, the scale of abortion and its impact on an entire generation. According to a statistical analysis drawn from the Guttmacher Institute, roughly 28% of Generation Z in the United States, nearly 1 in 3 never made it to birth. Holy shit. The numbers are based on estimates of abortions performed between 97 and 2011 that suggest 19.5 million children were aborted. By comparison, 69.3 million Gen Z Americans are living, which means that about 28% of the generation was aborted. That is wild. That's almost 1 in 3. What are your thoughts?
That's crazy.
That's it?
Yeah.
On that topic?
Yeah.
Yep, it is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. It is very crazy.
How many abortions is Planned Parenthood doing a year?
The last that I knew, according to their own information, it was approximately 800,000 a year.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's an unbelievable amount.
Just in the U.S.?
Just at Planned Parenthood. That's not just the U.S. That's just Planned Parenthood within the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that number rising, or is it pretty steady?
I'd have to look it up. Let me see if it's on here. I don't know. Oh shit. Got a giant ad for an egg. I don't know if I can find it right away, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Just out of thinking about this, the United States has between 300 and 350 million people in it. So 800,000 is nearly a million. That's just wild.
Per year?
Mm-hmm. Per year.
Wow. Now, but imagine if those 800,000 were born to those parents who aborted them, you know? Instead they were born, what would we do with them?
So here's the thing that I think a lot of people miss. This is my opinion on this issue, which is no one really agrees with me because I feel like my opinion is on neither side. I think both sides make mistakes. In my opinion, I think it's gross that the progressives believe up to the moment of birth in terms of when they think abortion should be legal. A lot of progressives believe that the woman should have the right to choose up to the moment of birth, meaning right before the baby goes down the birth canal, the mother can say, I want it to be aborted, I'm done. I think that's disgusting. I also think the right is wrong because the right says what you're concerned about. The right says every baby should be born, no abortion should be legal, okay? So if conservatives have their way, where are 800,000 unwanted babies going? It is impossible for us to take care of those babies. Who's going to? We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the resources, and the very same people who don't want those babies to be aborted are the same people who want to cut government programs. So it seems a little bit at odds. In my opinion, abortion is unbelievably difficult. It's not as simple as black and white. Both sides have some merit to what they argue, in my opinion, but I think both sides are also completely wrong. And I think that's why I piss everybody off with my view on it, because I think it's way more complex than black and white.
My view would piss people off even more, I think.
You want to hit me with it?
That's why I think that there should be criteria for being able to have a baby. There's criteria for everything else in the world. Getting a job, getting a credit card, buying a car, buying a gun. You have to be able to show who you are and show that you're capable of having these things before you go and get them, and paying for these things before you go and get them. So, but it's also the same issue of, well, what do we do with the babies who happen and then the parents are on meth and should not be having a baby? What do you do with the mom and what do you do with the baby? I don't know.
I think, so this is a really unbelievably hot topic issue. We've talked about this off camera a lot. And I know that I've mentioned this to you, but effectively the counter argument to what you would say is the idea of regulating who should have a baby is an unbelievably scary and authoritative one. And why should the government dictate who should have babies? And the reason it's so scary is because what if someone comes into power who, like, let's say there are basic parameters that are initially set because it's meant for the goodwill of everyone, right? So you can't be on meth. You have to, have some sort of stability. You have to demonstrate the ability to be a caregiver, mental stability, all this shit.
You have to be take some classes, to get your learner's permit. You have to take some classes and you have to pass a simple written test that shows you at least know the rules of the road.
Okay, so let's say that initially it starts out like a learner's permit where it says you need to have these basic qualifications. And then someone comes into office who says, you know what? I believe that Christianity is an affront to the Constitution and it tramples people's rights because of its ideology. And therefore, I'm creating a new law that does not just say that you have to, have stability, you have to be drug free, XYZ. You also cannot be a registered Christian.
Well, I feel like
How do you stop that? So the idea.
because the same way that you stop it from saying that if you're a registered Christian, you cannot get your learner's permit. You can't say that. You
But
can't say if you're a Republican, you cannot get your permit. You cannot drink if you're a Republican. Like, you can't say those things because those hold no merit,
You don't get to that immediately, you inch towards it. So the thing that's happening right now, like we talked about in a previous episode, it's very difficult just to exist in Hollywood if you are conservative or even slightly right-leaning. Okay, so you don't just wake up with, you go from, okay, you need these basic qualifications to Christians, you can't have babies. It doesn't get there. You inch into it. So the idea that a lot of politicians have is, if we tried to create rules and regulations on who has a kid, does that lead to the snowball that eventually ends in, if you are lesbian, you're not allowed to adopt a baby, or if you are Christian, you are not allowed to have one? That's what the idea is.
Because it's basic criteria. It's, did you take the, whatever it needs to be, 20 hours worth of classes that show that what kind of care a baby needs.
I mean, I understand everything that you're saying. I do. Like in
Like, whether you're a lesbian or you're a regular straight couple that can't have their own baby, or something that wants to adopt one, or that can have their own baby and wants to have a baby. It doesn't really matter, but it should be the same basic qualifications at a bare minimum
I don't
to
disagree
weed
with
out
you.
the people who are failing drug tests and are living on the street,
I don't disagree with you in terms of morality, and I don't disagree with you in terms of principle. My question is, everything you're saying makes sense, and you're right, because it's objectively true. If you want a learner's permit, if you want to have a gun, if you want to go fishing, you need to go take classes and get licenses and all this other shit. I understand everything you're saying. What I'm saying is, not an ideal fairy tale world of like, well, it should just be this. You have to also like think 5 steps, 10 steps down the line of like, you may start out with good intentions, but does it go to dark places? Does it go to bad places? And no politicians, even the extreme ones, right? So people would say that Donald Trump's an extremist, right? Some people would also argue someone like Bernie Sanders or Kamala Harris is an extremist. None of them have ever even toyed with the idea of trying to control who can have kids. And there's a reason for that.
except for they try to control who has to have kids by saying that, by making abortion illegal. That's the opposite side of it.
Yeah. There's something to be said for what you just, that is a very good counter argument to what conservatives argue, So it's not an easy issue, and I agree with everything you're saying. Someone on meth shouldn't have kids. Someone with 12 kids probably shouldn't have another one. There are certain things that are obvious on their face, but it's just a question of like, how could the government oversee that, implement it, and not have it become political or something that's used to say like, immigrants cannot have children, Christians or Muslims cannot have children, only Christians can. That type of shit is what politicians and people are really afraid of. So, and I understand, but I don't see a pathway to where that could be something that could be implemented and always remain neutral, because everything is becoming political. And I can't see that not being political. That's the problem. So it's not an easy answer.
Everything has to evolve,
Of course.
at some point. Otherwise, it just stays Stone Age, and it's like, we'll forever have the argument over what to do about abortion, opposed to trying to actually figure out solutions that are still never going to work for everybody. There's no solution that will ever work for everybody, no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the best in it for keeping the population strong and healthy, and also making sure that the people who are raising the people who are going to be taking over some point are raising them well
Yeah.
and have a happy and healthy life and grow up educated and nice, you know?
Hmm.
It's tough.
You know what else is tough? The idea of trying to be someone who is living or chasing. This is something that I wrote down and I forgot to mention to you. It was one other thing I wanted to talk about very quickly. One of the things that people always hyperfixate on, especially in America, and it's something that I've dedicated over a decade of my life to. Did you like that segue? Was it pretty good?
I don't know where it's going, but let's hear it.
But the segue itself was good.
Yeah.
The topic, maybe not, that's fair, but was the segue good?
Let's hear. I didn't even get to hear the thing. I don't even know
Oh, the
what's
segue was
segueing to.
Oh, right, but I was just shouting out the segue itself.
I wish I had a drum roll option here.
to build it up.
Yeah.
Right now it's the crickets. Nice. The idea of chasing your dreams, right? So like a lot of people say, I'm not getting trapped in the 9 to 5. I'm not just doing the normal thing and then dying. I'm going to live a life of meaning. I'm going to chase my dreams. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of videos on from Alan Watts, the philosopher who I love, I've been seeing quite a few videos of his quotes. And I always knew he said this, but it's also true. It's the idea of if you are so fixated on chasing a dream and delaying your happiness and fixated on goal achievement, you are delineating the moment, which is something I've always known. But the moment is all you have. There are no guarantees. So effectively what Alan Watts is saying in these videos is, you have the thing that it is that you're chasing, which is living in the moment and enjoying it. How do you feel about the idea of chasing a dream and pursuing something versus that causing you to miss the moment and the journey? And I think that's an important thing for anyone who is pursuing their own creative path to really think about.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with abortion.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope.
My head was still there.
Nope. That's why that's what I thought the segue was really good.
Oh.
Speaking of, what's hard or tough, the idea of living versus chasing. I tried so hard with that segue more than the other ones. The other ones were just a hard next topic.
Okay.
That one was supposed to segue in to the idea of living versus chasing.
Okay.
So that's pretty much
I need
it.
more of a heads up on the segue next time.
Okay. Well, maybe it was so good that you didn't even see it. It just happened.
I thought you were being facetious.
Nope. No, not at all. I really thought I was saying something that mattered, and apparently all I did was derail us more than Mac did.
I forgot the question.
Basically, the idea of living versus chasing. So don't get so hyper-fixated
I
on
was like,
chasing
I didn't
your
know
goals.
Alan Watts was into abortion conversations.
No, I don't think he ever mentioned it. If he did, I haven't heard it. But no, basically, Alan Watts, I've seen a lot of his videos recently of basically more or less the same topic of people who say, I'll be happy when I get that promotion and I have this amount of money, or I'll be happy when I can get this car, or I can say that I won this award or whatever, or then I'll be really living, right? So they place so much emphasis on getting to this thing down the line that they miss the moment that they're not actually living because they're delaying all of their feelings trying to get somewhere. And what Alan Watts says is, no, you're supposed to just enjoy. Life is supposed to be a dance. You're not going anywhere. You're supposed to just be enjoying the music. So just enjoy every second you can. So effectively all I'm saying is the idea of how much you can do by just trying to enjoy the moment versus that preventing you from getting to a better place. And then on the other hand, how much fixated on working to getting to a better place that you miss enjoying the moment. And maybe it's paradoxical. I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to try to balance the two of enjoying every second of it and then being content with whatever outcome happens. Maybe that's the ultimate goal.
I think that's what Alan Watts would say is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Working to get to where you want to be, but enjoying every minute of it,
Yeah.
It's going to be a grind and it's going to be a hustle. Like, we don't enjoy a lot of what it takes to be able to live the life that we're living, but we still enjoy every minute of it as much as we can. I don't enjoy every minute of booking flights and being on hold with Allegiant Airlines. But, here we are.
We get to go to Alaska.
We get to go and do cool shit all the time.
Yeah, so I mean, that's basically it. Just the idea of like, that's something that I think people should think about. I mean, there's something to be said for, and I don't think necessarily those two things are in opposition to each other, but they are a little bit of a difficult thing to navigate to do both successfully. It's really hard. And I struggle more. I'm a very happy-go-lucky guy. I enjoy things, but I know for a fact that I'm not 100% grounded in where we are right now because I'm so focused on trying to quote unquote break through, get to the next level, not have to worry about money, not have to worry about this, not have to deal with this. So it's not that it ruins the now, but it takes away from it. And it would be really nice. Like when we were playing laser tag, I think that is the pinnacle of human life. Not laser tag in and of itself, but how happy we weren't thinking about any bullshit. We weren't thinking about any worries and concerns about money, our job, the baby, the unknowns, the fear. We weren't thinking about anything other than just enjoying chasing our friends with laser guns.
Yeah.
And we had such a good time. Now, obviously, it's not sustainable to do that all the time because there's bullshit you have to do to get to that point. But I think that moment is as happy and as good and as pure of a moment as anybody could hope for. So if you can create that more frequently and be less fixated on goal outcomes, that would be the dream.
I also think that a lot of people are aiming really high, Not a lot of people can be as entertained with a $2 Hot Wheels and a game of laser tag. Not as many people are as content with that being their big night out, that being their birthday party, People want a lot more, which means you have to work a lot harder to get there, but it also means that you're not as content with the day-to-day little stuff,
But also the idea of more, and everybody's version of this is different, right? So not everyone is going to enjoy water slides as much as we do, and you're not expected to. But I think maybe the reason why people are so fixated on the more is if your more is material, not experiences, it's never going to stop. It's not even when you get a mega yacht, you're going to say, well, now I want two. So that is
a bigger one.
Yeah. So it's just going to be something that never stops. If you're fixated on more material, I think it definitely can stop if you say that I want more experiences, because there's definitely a cap on what you need in order to get there. So I know for me and you, we are not hyper fixated on getting mega yachts. We absolutely do want to have more moments of going to play laser tag and going to water parks. And you don't need as many resources. So I think there's a way to get there.
Even if we won the lotto tonight, there would still be difficult things that we have to do.
Of course.
On the regular. Life wouldn't just be okay, now we have money, so now we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, and never have to worry about anything. There'd be all sorts of things to deal with, but they'd be much different.
Yeah, you're never going to stop all the problems. But what I'm talking about is the idea of being in a place, right? So hypothetically, if you get to a point, if you are a well-known enough musician or a comedian or actor or whatever, there's obviously problems and downsides, right? But the upsides are certain issues are alleviated where I wouldn't have to be on those phones all day calling people and being rejected by community colleges because I want to pay rent.
Yeah.
Right. So it's instead of doing that, we could make videos or go for walks and stuff. So you still have issues. You still have things you have to work on and, bumps in the road and struggles. But it just changes the day-to-day.
Yeah. Just different struggles.
Yeah. Being a human is very hard, folks, and we understand that. And we know that it's a really difficult thing. And laughter is one of the best ways that you can get through being a human, and things that you look forward to as well, which is why we're honored that you listen to this podcast. And now that brings us to our most important subject of the whole day. We're not done yet, folks. Hold that music, because we are not done yet. We are now coming to my favorite topic of the Flying Otters podcast. You want it, you got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going into Kiersten's Hot Take. I'm okay with letting the music ride.
Yeah, this is a good tune. Boom.
Now let's get it. Kiersten's hot
For my
take.
hot take tonight. My hot take is that male cheerleaders should only be allowed to be male cheerleaders if they are throwing female cheerleaders in the air or doing really cool flips and stuff.
So you want the jacked ones, not the pom-pom ones.
They should not be dancers along with the other girls.
So male cheerleaders.
Feminists should appreciate that.
So you're saying male cheerleaders should only be of the jacked variety, not the pom-pom waving variety.
Correct. I mean, and if they have to wave a pom-pom just to, like, fit in, then fuck it. But, like, at least do something cool. That's it.
Cue that music, DJ. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. That was the one and only
Kiersten Pacelli with another edition of Kiersten's Hot Takes. Thank you so much for tuning into the Flying Otters podcast. I am comedian Jimmy McCartney. Along with me was photographer, videographer, and the tech person behind Flying Otters podcast, Kiersten Pacelli. We hope you tune in for another edition of Flying Otters podcast. Have a wonderful night, everybody.